Hi everybody, welcome back to Raw Inspired Living. This week, continuing our Christmas theme, we're going to make some beautiful raw orange and cranberry shortbread cookies. Now, I love shortbread. Honestly, it was probably one of my favorite biscuits at Christmas. So I've just learnt to make a different form of shortbread. Still delicious and still very Christmassy. It's got cranberries in it and it's lovely. So I'm going to show you the ingredients and they're fairly easy to make. These ones do need dehydrating. I'm just going to dehydrate them overnight. I find that if I dehydrate things overnight, it just makes it so much simpler. You don't need to complicate it. You just make it, pop it in the dehydrator overnight. You can't burn them in the dehydrator, so it's perfect. So let's jump into the ingredients. Here are our gorgeous Christmas ingredients for our cookies. We've got almond flour, we've got some coconut flour, some cranberries, we've got some maple syrup and vanilla, we've got cashews, and we've got some beautiful orange zest, which is going to be amazing. And in the middle, we've got coconut butter. I just thought I'd show you that because it's not coconut oil, it's actually coconut butter, and it does make a difference. So grab that either online or at your health food shop, and that's our ingredients. So how gorgeous are they? I just thought I might show you how I zest my orange. So I just have a microplane, so it's a fairly thin microplane, and it fits beautifully on a plate or a bowl. And then you just have to zest your orange over, and it all ends up in the bowl. So it's so easy and it's so gorgeous orange zest. It just has such a beautiful flavour. So let's jump into it. Okay, so firstly what we're going to do is we're going to add our cashews into the blender. We're going to add in our maple syrup and our vanilla into the Vitamix. Make sure you get all those delicious flavours. And then we're going to add in our coconut butter as well. And we're going to blend all that up first. So let's blend that up first. You might need to stop and scrape down the sides, which is fine because you don't want it sort of crunchy, you want it nice and smooth. So let's scrape down the sides. So this could take a while in your blender. So just, mix it around, make sure that you've got everything off the bottom of your blender and give it another go. So it might take a minute or so to get that off your blender or to get it off the sides of your blender and make it all smooth. So just be patient with it and make sure that, you've got a nice smooth consistency. Okay, so I'm going to show you the consistency. It's smooth. There's still a few little pieces of nuts in there, and that's fine. You just don't want big clumps of nuts. So if you've got still a few little pieces of cashews in there, don't worry about that. That'll be fine in the biscuits. They'll still be delicious. So that's our first step. Now we're going to scrape that out and we're going to pop it into a bowl because then we're going to mix in all our other ingredients. So let's scrape that out of there. Tricky, the sticky things out of the blender. So I have this amazing spatula that's really thin and it gets in. So get yourself, it has to be a firm spatula, not a sort of a floppy one. You really need a firm spatula to get it all out. And I love this one. I can link it below. I think it's a Thermomix one actually. But it's brilliant for getting things out of the blender because I find that, especially if they're sticky, they don't come out of the blender easily and you need something that's a bit firmer to actually get them out of the blender and pop them. And, otherwise you're wasting your ingredients. So just scrape it out. This can take a little bit of time. This is the longest thing that you'll do when you're making these cookies, is getting the stickiness out of the blender. All right, I think we're nearly there now. That's fine. And then you know what you can do with that? You can make a smoothie out of that. You can pop some nut milk in there and it will be delicious. You'll have like this beautiful flavoured milk. So we don't ever waste anything. We use everything. All right, so that's that out of there. And then we're literally just going to add all our other things in. I'm also going to add a pinch of salt because I add salt to literally everything because it brings out the flavour of other foods. So I'm just going to show you how we put everything else in and we just mix it around and then we're going to form cookies to go in the dehydrator. So we're just going to add all our other ingredients into the wet mixture that we've popped in the bowl. Now the great thing about raw food is that honestly, it's just, you can add a bit more moisture if it's too dry. You can add, you know, a little bit more flour if it's too wet. It doesn't really matter. You can't really muck it up. And then our cranberries are going in. Oh, it smells amazing. That orange zest is so delicious. And you're literally just going to mix this around because what you're wanting is a dough, right? So you're mixing it around. And the great thing about the dehydrator is you can't actually make a mistake. You can't burn the cookies because you're cooking everything at 45 degrees Celsius. So it actually doesn't burn the cookies. Now, really for me, I am going to get my hands into this because it's much easier to mix a raw dough with your hands than it is with a spoon. So you're just going to mix it around until you've got all of the flour in there together to form a beautiful dough. And then you're going to roll them out and we're going to pop them in the dehydrator. Oh, they smell amazing with that orange zest in them. You can see it's starting to form a bit of a dough there, and that's what you're wanting. You're just mixing everything around, getting all those beautiful flavours mixed together. And then you're going to have these amazing, good for you, almond shortbread cookies for Christmas. Gosh, so delicious. All right, you can see that that's starting to form a bit of a dough, like that. I might even add a little bit more maple syrup to that because I'm not sure that it needs a little bit more maple syrup in there. So I'll probably just add a little bit more. And then I will come back and show you how we form them into balls and we press them into cookies. Okay, so here we have our beautiful dough. I actually didn't add maple syrup. I actually added a juice of half an orange. So that's the great thing with raw food. If it's not looking like you want it to look like, be creative. You're like, you know, just look at it and go, what would make a nice flavor with this? I love raw food. I love creating and experimenting with raw food. So all we're going to do, as we do with any dough, right, you're going to grab the dough off, you're going to roll it round into whatever size, you know, cookie you really want. And then you're popping it on your tray. Now I am going to pop mine down with a little bit of a fork, right? So it gets a nice little, it's just a nice little cookie with a little decoration on there. And that's what you're doing. They smell amazing with the orange zest in there, and the cranberries are going to taste so beautiful in these cookies. Like, they'll just be so lovely, and you can have them on your Christmas table. Now, as I said, I'm going to dehydrate these cookies overnight because it's just easier for me that way. I don't have to do anything. It's the dehydrator's doing all the work, and I don't need to do anything. And you can't really muck it up. That's a bit sticky, that dough. So I'll tell you what we're going to do about that. That is a good example of what happens when you're working with raw food. Now, what you can do about that is use some coconut flour. So I'll just grab some coconut flour. Working with raw food is amazing for your creativity and for your problem solving. So I've just put a little bit of coconut flour in a bowl. Right, you can eat coconut flour raw, it's quite safe. So I'm just dipping the fork in. You can actually sprinkle these after with some coconut flour, or you could even do some with coconut sugar, which might be delicious. I might do some with a little sprinkling of coconut sugar on the top as well. That would be a delicious Christmassy treat for people. And they're amazing. So we've got the coconut flour on our fork. We're just pressing down and rolling off. It's beautiful. These are going to be such a hit on your Christmas table. You can have them after lunch with a beautiful cup of tea, and people will just think that you are so clever. And they're actually a bit quicker to make than normal shortbread because there's no rubbing that butter and flour together. The Vitamix is doing all of the work, and really that's all there is to it. So that's it. I'll come back and show you when they're all done, and then we'll pop them in the dehydrator, and we'll come back when they're all cooked and ready. And here are our gorgeous cookies, all ready to go in the dehydrator. I didn't use coconut sugar on them. I actually sprinkled a little bit of organic cinnamon on them. I think that'll go really deliciously with the orange and the almonds and the cranberries. So I will come back when they are finished dehydrating overnight and show you what they look like. Okay, I'm back from the market, fresh back from the market shopping this morning, and here are the cookies out of the dehydrator. They smell amazing. I let them dehydrate overnight, as I said, and I probably did about 14 hours because I live in a pretty humid area, but if you're not in a humid area, you probably won't need to leave them that long. And they are amazing. So definitely they hit the plate like a cookie. They're a dense cookie, so obviously a denser shortbread, and they smell amazing with that cinnamon and the orange zest. I am sure that you will love having these as part of your Christmas recipe haul, and they will be amazing on your table. They will be amazing with a cup of tea after Christmas lunch. So I hope you try the recipe. Let me know what you think of it, and I hope to see you again in Raw Inspired Living.